Wow, don't know where to start with this one, guys. Chainsaw Man just keeps surprising me over and over again. Like, it just keeps getting better and better. Okay, before we hop into the video, this might or might not be my first vid, since, I might not upload straight away. So please feel free to drop a like and subscribe down below if you haven't already and are just, new to my channel. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let me just start off by saying that when I first started reading this manga, I wasn't expecting what I got at all. Like, I hadn't seen any vids on it as it was relatively new, and I was just like, calm, guess I'll just try this out. And the first thing I remember coming to mind while reading this was, shit, it's looking like one of those. I was thinking, calm, it's a bit over the top, isn't it? Like, I've tried tons of other manga pretty much just like this, and they all pretty much lacked hard. But for some reason, I was like, okay, let's just keep reading it anyways. Like, there was just something about it that stood out to me for some reason, and I said to myself, look, let's just read on. And holy shit, the more I read, the more and more hooked I got on it. Look, I think the main thing that bugged me at the start was basically, shit, this main character looks boring as shit, do I have to look at this retarded ass nigga for the whole thing? Yeah, the main character to me at the start looked boring as fuck. Like, he looked like he could barely even speak English, like it was tough. The only thing that kept me interested at the start, I'd say, was when they first introduced Makima. I was like, calm. So the writer actually, knows how to write an interesting character. Then Power and Aki were introduced, and at that point, I literally couldn't stop reading. Like, the three of them probably had the most entertaining dynamic I've seen in a pretty long time. And although I disliked Denji at the start for, being retarded, it actually got to the point where, his retarded and straightforward nature started to actually be interesting to read. And it was funny as fuck sometimes. Like, Aki is introduced as this cool Sasuke looking character with a tragic backstory. But, as soon as he comes into contact with Denji, it's like it doesn't even matter anymore. And Power, well, she's just Power, to be honest. I think what stands out the most about Chainsaw Man is pretty much how fucking unique the writing is. Like, I'm not even really sure how to explain it other than looking at the world through the eyes of Denji. It's actually like a fucking acid trip, I can't lie. And by the way, trust me, when I say this is one of the few mangas I've read where you can never tell what's going to happen next. Like, you could just be chilling on the current page, and then the next page, something crazy happens out of absolutely fucking nowhere. The plot's unpredictable, and Denji's so retarded, it's unpredictable. Like, you actually never know what's going to happen next in this shit. Okay, if you actually take a second to think about it, not a lot of people are actually reading or particularly talking about Chainsaw Man. Basically, it's not as popular as any of the shows that dropped at the same time that it did. Like, I think Promised Neverland or My Hero, I think both of those shows came out roughly around the same time Chainsaw Man did. But both of those shows have already been animated. While Chainsaw Man, like, I'm not even sure if it's even being discussed on whether it's going to be animated or not. I think it was overshadowed by some of the manga that dropped at the time, and it's really only starting to see a bigger fan base, like, within probably the last year or so. The artwork is actually kind of top notch for this manga too. Like, it's dark, gritty, and obviously since it's Chainsaw Man and all, over the top. Like, I know I already mentioned this, but the character designs are all extremely good. All the main characters are really memorable, and the devil designs look amazing. The artwork also blends really fucking nicely together with the main story, in my opinion. Quick question. Why does the main character have legit chainsaws, coming out of his hands and head? I think that's a good question that more or less kind of sums up the whole manga in a nutshell. Like, it's pretty absurd. Like, it looks so out there, and there are plenty, more countless examples like it kind of, sprinkled all over the manga. When you have something that looks, that crazy in the manga, like, how do you even start justifying and trying to explain why it even exists in the first place? I think that's what makes Chainsaw Man so good. Somehow, it manages to make this absurdity feel so natural and in place. It's kind of crazy, can't lie. Some people, can say the fights look wacky as fuck. I'd say the fights look unique and are like a breath of fresh air. Like, the same fights wouldn't work in any other manga. Like, imagine a Chainsaw Man fight in fucking One Piece. Like, they would look so fucking weird. But I think it's because Chainsaw Man set itself up at the start to be unique, that it can even pull something like this off in the first place. Of course, there are also certain fights in the show that I know for a fact would look amazing if it ever got an anime adaptation. As for dislikes, I can't lie, I have very few. The only thing I can actually think about off the top of my head is I think sometimes Denji can be a bit too retarded. Like, even for Denji. Same goes for Power 2, can't lie. But I even found those parts kind of funny as well, so I don't think it really matters that much. Well, I guess you could say sometimes the motives for the villains, or even just some of the characters, are a bit unclear, or just left out altogether. Basically, the villains do some really, over the top shit, for sometimes kind of minor issues in my opinions. But to be honest, I think that's just Chainsaw Man. Like, over the top action doesn't really surprise me, and it just blends in so well with the manga. You even start thinking, like, towards the end of it, calm, he only killed a couple 10,000 people or so there. I can't lie, from the world building, to the abilities that they give the characters, everything's just so well done. It's kind of amazing how I thought it was going to be shit at the start. And it just keeps getting better and better too. Character designs are sick. And to be honest, although it does have some flaws, they take nothing away from, my overall enjoyment of the manga. I can't lie, I'd recommend absolutely everyone to hop on this shit if you haven't already.